Whittier, California, December 1957. At 8426 Painter Avenue, behind the ivy-choked gates of the Whittier Community Hospital Orphan Ward, attendants reported missing decorations from the children's Christmas wing. A matron named Edna Lowe wrote that the tree ornaments were found crushed, slick with something tar-like, as if handled by something alive. Everyone thought it was just a prank, the orphans playing at fairy tales in the dark, but the reports kept coming. Deep shoe prints in the snowless hallway dust, a small green scrap of synthetic fur wedged in a pipe vent. One nurse kept the fragment. It's now sealed behind glass at the Whittier Museum, next to a photo of Dr. Seuss smiling through stage lights decades later. Hollywood would brighten the creature into a children's icon. But in the brittle copies of the 1957 police log, the handwriting trembles. Something meaner once haunted those halls. The earliest entry comes from a Whittier Daily News column, December 24, 1955. Custodian fired over Christmas misconduct. The piece names Frank Nolan, 41, hospital janitor, dismissed after an incident involving torn decorations and frightened children in the polio ward. Nolan, described as gaunt and reclusive, allegedly shouted that Christmas was for the spoiled and threw the hospital's paper snowflakes into the incinerator. Within days, rumors said his room had been found wrecked, walls smeared with green-tinted cleaning slurry. He denied everything. 2 nights later, he vanished. Police logs show his bicycle recovered near Turnbull Canyon, chain snapped, no body found. The orphanage sealed basement access until 1957. Locals later claimed the staff kept the children silent to protect funding. But the first letters, scrawled by nurses to local clergy, warned of groans in vents, scraping near the storage floor. Each letter was logged by Father Julio Marquez of St. Bruno's Parish, now stored in diocesan archives. When investigators finally entered Nolan's quarters in January 1956, they documented an odd smell, described in the official report as medicinal with undertones of rotting vegetation. His meager possessions included 3 hospital uniforms, all stained with the same green cleaning compound. A single photograph recovered from his wall showed Nolan standing alone on Christmas morning. His expression was blank. The back of the photo bore a single line in cramped handwriting. They celebrate. I watch. 4 surviving witnesses, Angela C., Bobby L., and 2 unnamed nurses, were interviewed in 1979 for the Whittier Historical Oral Project. Angela recalled glowing fragments slipped under doors on Christmas Eve, spelling, "Stay still tonight." Recordings testified to the hesitation in her voice. She insists she could hear laughter when the janitorial lights turned off. Hospital records from winter 1957 list unexplained power outages, often coinciding with visiting hours for the children's wing. City maintenance. Reports confirm repeated calls from the hospital's North Ward regarding unusual current draw. Each time, the transformer tested normal afterward. To some, this was electrical fault and hysteria. Yet by February 1958, the wing was closed after several patients woke scratched, as if brushed by pine needles. The official closure reason: mold remediation. No mold samples survive. The testimony of nurse Elaine Woodward, recorded on reel-to-reel tape now stored at Whittier College archives, describes finding a child's drawing tucked beneath a ward mattress. It showed a tall, thin figure, colored entirely in green crayon, she stated. The arms were too long, the smile too wide. When I asked Tommy who it was, he wouldn't look at me. Just said it was the man who watches us sleep. The drawing disappeared from the evidence folder in 1962. Only Woodward's description remains. Bobby L., 8 years old during the incidents, later became groundskeeper at Whittier Memorial Park. In his interview, the recorder captures the sound of his fingers tapping nervously on the table. We all saw it, he says after a long pause, but they told us it was dreams. Whittier's local radio, KWOW 1600 AM, aired a playful Christmas feature in '58. The Mean One Returns to Whittier General. It treated the rumors as folklore, spinning them into humor. That same week, the hospital's new administrator destroyed the incident logs from 1955-1958, except for one carbon copy archived accidentally in the city clerk's office. It notes, children claim green man enters ward, odor, ammonia, and decay. No trespass sign torn down Deckard 24. The following year, the Los Angeles Times ran a light piece on holiday hysteria. Publicly, the story died. Privately, witnesses called it the Grinch Room. The broadcast transcript, preserved on microfilm at the Whittier Public Library, features announcer Dale Patterson laughing through his segment. "Folks say our missing janitor turned into some kind of Christmas monster," Patterson told listeners. "Next, they'll say the bogeyman steals their socks." Station logs show 3 callers complained about the segment, including one unidentified nurse who left a message saying, "It isn't funny when you've seen the scratch marks." By 1960, most staff who witnessed the original incidents had transferred to other facilities. Hospital board minutes from March 1960 contain a curious line item. Fund $200 allocated for basement storage reconfiguration and sealing of obsolete ventilation system. The contractor, Mercer Construction, later filed an insurance claim for tools that melted inexplicably during the renovation. The claim was denied. A yellowed memo from Dr. Harold Jenkins, chief of pediatrics, warned all staff, "Discussion of past maintenance issues with patients, visitors, or press is grounds for immediate termination." The memo is dated December 1, 1960, exactly 5 years after Frank Nolan's hiring. Between 1961 and 1963, 3 burglaries occurred along Bright Avenue, all houses of former hospital staff. Each scene featured the same signature: broken ornaments, footprints burned into carpet fibers, and missing gifts. Police named no suspect. Patrolman Ed Herrera, in his 1964 report, wrote, "Seems staged, but family dogs avoided one closet. Lights flicker in pattern, like breathing." Herrera retired after that winter. Years later, he told a student reporter, "If I said what I smelled that night, they'd never believe me." Investigators noted that a rust-tinted janitor key was found at one site. It matched the manufacturer batch issued to Whittier Hospital's maintenance crew, 1953-56. The Whittier Daily News reported the incidents as "seasonal burglaries target medical professionals." Victims included former head nurse Martha Gaines, pediatric resident Dr. James Chen, and hospital administrator Walter Simmons, who had ordered the destruction of the incident logs years earlier. Simmons's wife told officers she heard scraping in the walls hours before discovering their ransacked living room on Christmas morning. The evidence log from the Gaines residence, case 61 E9, lists green fibrous material caught in broken window latch, unidentified chemical residue on door frames, faint footprints measuring approximately size 11, narrow heel. Laboratory analysis proved inconclusive, with the technician noting, "Fibers contain unknown synthetic polymer, possibly industrial cleaning material treated with chemical preservative." None of the stolen gifts were ever recovered. All 3 families moved away within 6 months. Dr. Chen's resignation letter to his new hospital in San Diego contained a peculiar postscript. "Please ensure my office has no connection to maintenance areas or storage facilities." The case files were officially closed in March 1964. The evidence box, according to county records, was destroyed in a basement storage flood in 1970. Renamed Whittier Rehabilitation Center in 1965, the old hospital reopened partly. Workers restoring the South Wing refused night shifts. LA County Building Safety Report, Order 65-217, mentions vandalized storage with markings of a face grinning, welded into rust. Maintenance man Carlos Villanueva testified in deposition that someone or something kept moving our ladder after shift. Carlos died in a basement electrical fire the following winter, an event ruled accidental. His widow later donated his toolbox to the Whittier Museum. It's still there, a small linen tag reading, "Smells of chlorine." The renovation contractor, Western Pacific Development, filed 5 separate insurance claims for equipment damage during the 6-month project. Their foreman, Ray Miller, documented unusual incidents in his daily logs. Deck 18, men refused to work lower level after hours, claimed tools rearranged overnight. Deck 21, another power surge, lights flickered in pattern, breaker panel shows tampering. Deck 23, discovered maintenance shaft. previously unlisted in blueprints, contains what appears to be a makeshift sleeping area, old food wrappers, hospital uniform scraps. Miller's final entry, dated December 26th, simply reads, "Project suspended pending security investigation." The coroner's report for Carlos Villanueva notes that his body was found in the basement electrical room, severely burned. What remains unexplained is why he was there at 11:43 p.m. on Christmas Eve when his shift had ended at 4 p.m. A single detail in the autopsy findings has fueled decades of speculation. Foreign green fibers embedded in victim's palm, consistent with clutching or defensive wounds. Villanueva's toolbox, now displayed in the museum's local industry section, contains a small journal where he had written only one entry, dated December 20th, 1965. Something watches from the vents. The new doctor laughs when I mention it, says it's just a story they tell new employees. In early 1967, Father Julio Marquez, the same priest who archived the 1955 letters, requested church permission to perform cleansing blessing of the rehabilitation center. Diocesan correspondence, case Diagern M307, describes residual malice attached to room material, odor of sulfur. Superintendent Helen G. Rainey declined the ritual, citing budget optics. That same year, rumor spread that a child's volunteer doll, a handmade felt creature-colored green, was found ripped open, stuffing shredded into the form of a heart. When Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas first aired on CBS in 1966, several Whittier staff recall feeling mocked by fate. One nurse reportedly wept, whispering, "He's back, but they made him smile." Father Marquez's journal, donated to the St. Bruno Parish Archives after his death in 1981, contains detailed notes on his visits to the hospital. His entry from February 4, 1967, reads, "Spoke with night watchman Donovan regarding disturbances. He confirms scratching within walls, objects moving between rounds. Administration refuses to acknowledge. When I mentioned the janitor who disappeared 12 years ago, Donovan grew pale, said, 'Father, there's a storage room they keep locked. Even cleaning staff won't enter.'" The diocesan refusal letter, signed by Bishop Francis McIntyre, states, "While the Church recognizes the power of blessing sacred spaces, we cannot authorize ritual cleansing based on staff superstition or coincidental events without concrete evidence of spiritual disturbance." A handwritten note in the margin reads simply, "Politics. The hospital donors wouldn't approve." Helen Rainey resigned as superintendent in August 1967, citing health concerns. Her personal correspondence, preserved by her daughter, includes a letter to a former colleague. "I made a mistake refusing the priest. Something lives in that building's bones now. I hear the scraping in my dreams." In August 1970, members of the California Society for Psychic Study, CSPS, a short-lived parapsychology group, gained permission to measure residual energy in the old basement. Among them was Margaret Denny, a UCLA psychology assistant known for her field EM readings. Her notes, preserved in the UCLA Paranormal Collection, record unusual readings aligning with vent eddy electromagnetic oscillations. Audio logs captured on reel-to-reel tape included a low rasp repeating, "No cheer." Denny later cautioned that the phenomenon might be psychological suggestion triggered by media associations. However, out of all 15 reels, only tape 4 vanished after her death, the one marked "Basement Christmas Eve Repeat." Visitors to the CSPS archive note the smell of burnt pine still lingers in the drawer containing her files. The CSPS investigation, initially dismissed as pseudoscience, gained credibility when Dr. Richard Bradshaw, professor of electrical engineering at Cal State Fullerton, verified the electromagnetic anomalies. His report, filed with both the university and hospital administration, documents unexplainable cold spots corresponding with electrical interference, particularly in the northeast corner of the basement adjacent to the old maintenance office. The team's equipment logs show a pattern. Devices function normally throughout the facility except during the hours of 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. when batteries would rapidly drain and recording devices captured only static, except for the infamous taped Sarber 4. Denny's handwritten field notes describe their final night in the basement. Temperature dropped 17 degrees in minutes. Instruments show someone moving behind walls. Richards felt something brush past, smelled chemical cleaning agent and something organic beneath it. Then the lights went out. When emergency system engaged, discovered equipment rearranged. Tape recorder moved to air vent, playing back now. The notes end there. A different handwriting, identified as Dr. Bradshaw's, continues. Investigation terminated for safety concerns. Denny refuses to return. Evidence inconclusive but deeply troubling. In 1972, demolition workers clearing hospital debris found a water-stained photograph under a stairwell. A Christmas tree in the children's wing, dimly lit, with something large crouched behind it. The shadows seemed to outline limbs too long for a normal man. The photograph was logged by the Whittier Historical Society. Accession, Tidy 72465, now displayed only in December, glass-fronted, lights low. Curators say fingerprints appear on the inside of the frame each new year. The discovery halted demolition for 3 days while county officials debated the photograph's authenticity. The Polaroid-type image bears no date stamp, but paper analysis dated the stock to 1957-1958. Construction foreman Terry Williams told the Whittier Daily News, "My crew won't go back in. 3 men quit after finding that picture, said it moved when they weren't looking directly at it." Photographic expert Caroline Wright from the Los Angeles counties. Archives examined the image in 1973. Her report concludes, subject appears to be combination of shadow and possibly a maintenance worker in dark clothing. However, proportions are inconsistent with normal human anatomy if this interpretation is accepted. The elongated arms and hunched posture suggest photographic distortion or deliberate staging. The photograph's chain of custody is well documented, from Williams to the police, then to the county examiner, and finally to the Historical Society. At each transfer, handlers noted the same detail, the faint smell of industrial cleaner that seemed to emanate from the image itself. Martha Keene, the Society's first curator for the image, kept a log of visitor reactions. Her entry from December 1975 reads, "Man in his 50s viewed the photo today, began trembling, identified himself as former orderly, said only, 'That's him,' before leaving, refused to elaborate when approached in parking lot." Local filmmaker Benjamin Cross produced a 1979 short film, The Mean One of Painter Avenue, screening once at Cal State Fullerton. He quoted policemen and survivors, but copyright dispute with the Seuss estate halted release. Cross vanished in 1981 near Turnbull Canyon. His car was found idling, headlights smashed inward. Police cited mechanical fault. Among his recovered effects was a handwritten note. "He's not fiction. He hates the sound of wrapping paper." The note is preserved in the Los Angeles County Missing Persons File, Number 81, T3422. Cross's film remains unavailable to the public, though a VHS transfer reportedly exists in private collection. His production notes, recovered from his apartment, detail extensive interviews with hospital staff, police officers, and former patients. The notebook contains a troubling entry, dated November 12, 1978. Showed photograph to former night watchman. He identified figure as Nolan, but wrong somehow. Claims janitor didn't die, changed instead. Not pursuing this angle for film. Too unsettling. The screening at Cal State Fullerton ended abruptly when the projection equipment overheated 15 minutes into the showing. Attendee Sharon Mercer recalled, "The sound distorted just as they showed the hospital basement. A horrible scraping noise came through the speakers. Then everything went dark." Cross received a cease and desist letter from lawyers representing Theodore Geisel, Dr. Seuss, on December 20, 1979. The document, filed with his other papers, claims unauthorized association of a beloved children's character with disturbing local legends. Cross's written response, never mailed, argues, "The character took inspiration from something real. The timing and details aligned too perfectly for coincidence." His disappearance occurred exactly 2 years later. The police report notes that officers found Cross's car with the driver's door open, engine running, on Turnbull Canyon Road, the same area where Frank Nolan's bicycle was discovered 26 years earlier. His body was never found. Through the late 1990s, Universal Studios developed How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. Production art shows an extensive file labeled Historical Mood Boards, Local Rumors, including clippings referring to Whittier Vandal, 1955. In a 2000 LA Weekly interview, a set designer admitted, "We read about some janitor thing, creepy backstory. We laughed it off, but the studio told us to drop all custodian references." Crew anecdotes mention odd set failures. A tree collapsing, shredded fabric, power break on Soundstage 12 around December 24th. One grip reportedly walked after claiming he heard a cough inside a hollow prop. The film softened every trace of malice, yet beneath studio lots, the archived inspiration still carried the sour odor of industrial cleanser. Production documents released during a 2010 retrospective exhibit contained script notes from producer Brian Grazer. Need to distance from the Whittier angle completely. Legal says locals still sensitive about it. Remove all hospital medical references. Early concept art shows the Grinch with distinctly longer limbs and a maintenance worker's keyring, elements absent from the final design. Special effects technician Mark Winters left the production in October 1999. His exit interview, obtained through a Freedom of Information request, cites unhealthy working environment as his reason for departure. Colleague Diane Foster later told the Los Angeles Times, "Mark was convinced something was watching us from the catwalks, said he found green smudges on equipment that nobody could explain." Security logs from Universal Studios show 7 reports of unauthorized access to Soundstage 12 between November 1999 and January 2000, all occurring after midnight. Each investigation concluded with no evidence of intrusion despite secured doors being found open. The final report, dated December 26th, notes, "Christmas tree prop destroyed. Appears shredded by mechanical means. Investigation ongoing." Post-release, Whittier Museum saw a surge in visitors asking about the real Grinch. Staff established the Painter Avenue policy, no touching donated janitorial items, no photography after dusk. Director Linda Kuramoto told a 2001 Whittier Register feature, "It's a family museum, but people come asking about that burned basement. We keep the room locked after 5. Maintenance logs show 3 camera system outages within that period, always during December. Custodian Paul Jeffers resigned, citing equipment interference, smell of ozone. His exit note left taped to his locker simply read, "He still hates the lights." The museum's attendance records show a 340% increase in December visitors following the film's release. Guestbook entries frequently mention the Grinch display, though no such official exhibit existed. Security guard Thomas Miller's incident report from December 18, 2001, describes finding 37 children's letters addressed to the mean one inserted into the ventilation grate near the hospital artifacts case overnight. No video footage of placement. Kuramoto's internal memo to staff dated December 1, 2001, establishes strict protocols. All questions regarding the Whittier incident or real Grinch must be directed to senior staff. Do not mention the janitor, the photograph, or the basement fire. Refer to these items only as local historical curiosities if pressed. The maintenance logs detail recurring electrical problems in the East Wing housing the hospital display. Entry from December 23, 2001. Replaced bulbs in cases 7 and 9 for 3rd time this week. No explanation for rapid burnout. Engineer suggests power surge, but no evidence in other sections. Strange green residue on inside of glass again. Cleaning staff refuses to touch it. Paul Jeffers, night custodian for only 3 months, submitted his resignation on December 26th. His locker contained only his uniform and the note. Security footage shows him leaving the building at 11:17 p.m. on Christmas Eve. He never returned for his final paycheck. Museum visitors continue reporting flickering exit signs near Exhibit 7, the hospital artifacts case. Security video, Deck 2005, timestamp 2241, records a faint shift in the reflection behind the fur fragment, though no one entered. Technician reports note temperature dropped from 71 degree to 62 degree in 30 seconds. Teen vloggers who filmed the case in 2017 posted shaky footage captioned, "Real Grinch sighting?" Hours later, their channel uploaded an apology video, both hosts visibly shaken, apologizing for making jokes. "It answered," one said before logging off. The video vanished within a week. Visitors claim printed museum maps sometimes show a faint green smudge along the page's lower fold, only visible under fluorescent light. Staff collect these quietly and discard them. The museum's visitor feedback forms contain dozens of similar reports between 2005 and 2023. Recurring descriptions include cold spot by the janitor display, chemical smell near the Christmas decorations section, and feeling watched when viewing the hospital photographs. Children's comments mention seeing green fingers on the glass or hearing scratching inside the walls. The 2017 vlogging incident gained brief notoriety in paranormal circles. The original video, archived by several followers before deletion, shows YouTubers Aiden Mills and Jason Cortez joking as they filmed the hospital display after hours during a special event. At timestamp 1432, as they zoom in on the fur fragment, a distinct scraping sound becomes audible. The camera shakes, focus blurs. When it stabilizes, both teens are silent. The reflection in the glass appears to show a tall figure behind them, though when they turn, nothing is there. Their apology video, posted at 3:14 a.m. the same night, shows both visibly distressed. Mills whispers, "We didn't mean any disrespect," while Cortez adds, "We heard it in the parking lot too." Following us, their channel deleted all content the following day. Neither is returned to social media. Museum security logs from that night note only. 22:30, motion detector activation in East Wing. Investigation found no intruders. Sensors reset. In December 2023, acting under a California heritage permit, examined the Whittier Museum archives. The glass that holds the fur scrap is scratched from inside. Attached beneath is the curator's handwritten note, "Please do not dust. It moves." As I packed the camera gear, the overhead radio cut, then resumed playing a single bar from a children's choir version of "You're a Mean One." I marked the anomaly, but ended the recording there. The final entry in the visitor log that night is mine, initials only, as regulation dictates. I locked the glass display and whispered thanks. The security feed later showed faint motion blur across the lens, as if something leaned close, smiled, and vanished when the red record light blinked off. Museum director Rebecca Chen granted the research access reluctantly, explaining, "December is sensitive. We've had equipment malfunctions, staff complaints. Most researchers request summer visits instead." The archives contain visitor reports categorized by standard and unusual experiences. The latter folder is significantly thicker in December entries. The fur fragment, cataloged as synthetic material of unknown origin, 1957, remains the most frequently mentioned item in incident reports. Conservation notes indicate the sample has never degraded despite its age and maintains a faint chemical odor described varyingly as industrial cleaner, pine, and ammonia. During my examination, environmental readings showed normal conditions until 11:17 p.m., when temperature dropped 8.4 degrees in the immediate vicinity of the display case. Audio equipment captured a low-frequency vibration just below human hearing range. Video review revealed no visible source. The curator's note, dated December 2021, appears hastily written. Additional text on the reverse reads, "Fragment orientation changes between closings, never when observed directly. Previous attempts to replace case resulted in equipment failure. Current hypothesis, preservation environment maintains stability." I observed the fragment for 73 minutes. It remained motionless, but the scratches on the inside of the glass formed a distinct pattern when viewed under UV light, the crude outline of a smiling face.